Welcome to the Elon News Network Election Center tonight. North Carolinians are part of a battleground election to decide who will control the House and Senate.
Our team is in place breaking down local, state, and national races. And our team out in the field and in our newsroom updating us with the latest information. We've got it covered tonight, and it all starts right now.
Good evening and welcome back to our special Elon News Network 2022 midterm election coverage. I'm Haley Phelps, and if you're just tuning in, we are following numerous races across the state and nationwide tonight. But we begin with an ENN projection. Elon News Network's Election Center projects Ted Budd as the winner of the U.S. Senate in Alamance County in North Carolina. Anne Marie, what can you tell us?
Budd has 55.2% of the vote with 36 out of 38 precincts reporting in Alamance County. He also leads by just over 3% nationwide. Tonight's race is a closely contested one. His opponent, Democrat Sherry Beasley's campaign was a huge fundraiser. It raised over $30 million, triple of what Budd's did. Beasley visited Burlington last week to campaign at the Coronado Senior Center. She's been endorsed by former President Barack Obama and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Beasley's supporter Angela Knox has high hopes for this election. With Beasley's extensive legal background and solitude for women and children, Knox says it makes her a clear applicant for U.S. Senate.
Well, being that she has a legal background, I think she will bring an added plus to the Senate with that knowledge. But also, I know Sherry personally, and so I've been with her. I know her heart, I know her spirit. Being a mother, being a wife, being a community advocate, I know that she will stand for not only women, but for children and for families and everything that would help our society.
Budd took the lead just after 9 p.m. from Beasley. More from this race can be found on our live blog and rotor guide on elonnewsnetwork.com. And as we mentioned, Ted Budd currently serves as a congressman for the 13th District, which includes Alamance County. Heading in tonight, Budd was leading in many of the exit polls. Budd is endorsed by former U.S. President Donald Trump. Our Ryan Kupperman has an update from his watch party in Winston-Salem, where he was earlier tonight.
Hello, I'm Ryan Kupperman with Elon News Network. I'm standing here at the Marriott Hotel in Winston-Salem with a crowd of about 500 people waiting to hear U.S. Senate candidate Ted Budd speak. We're not quite sure when he's going to come out, but we're expecting him any minute. Ryan Kupperman, Elon News Network.
Ryan Kupperman from Winston-Salem, thank you so much for that update. And looking at the state
Senate race in District 25, ENN projects that incumbent and Republican candidate Amy Galey for District 25 in the North Carolina State Senate. Galey leads by over 9,500 votes. Republicans spent more than $1 million to help Galey first secure her seat in 2020 when it was open. Galey and Ewing both support legalizing medical marijuana and expanding Medicaid. Galey has said she would not ban abortion in North Carolina, but wants state lawmakers to come to an understanding. We have more updates on other major races we're following tonight, with 94% of the votes in and 36 of the 38 precincts are reporting in Alamance County, ENN projects. Incumbent and current Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson as the winner of the sheriff's race. Johnson has 59.18% of the vote. Johnson has been making news today over claims that his name was not appearing on all of the ballots. Federal election monitors were in Alamance County today to provide extra assurance to voters. This is the first contested sheriff's race in 12 years. Johnson said in a previous interview with Elon News Network that if reelected, he wants to make the county safer, improve diversity, and expand mental health services. Moving on to our State House of Representatives races, Republican candidate Stephen Ross has taken the lead over Ricky Hurtado in the North Carolina House of Representatives District 63 race. With 36 precincts reporting, Ross is leading by just over 800 votes. Ross lost by 1% in 2020. Ross wants to create more jobs, increase teacher pay, and is against critical race theory in schools. He previously served as a Burlington City Council member, mayor of Burlington, and was a state representative for House District 63 in Alamance County from 2013 to 2020. ENN projects incumbent and Republican candidate Dennis Riddell to win the State House of Representatives for 64th District. He is running against newcomer and Democrat Ron Osborne. This will be Riddell's 6th consecutive term. He says his biggest concern with the state is spending and the economy. For the U.S. House of Representatives, ENN projects Democratic candidate Valerie Fauci as the winner of the 4th District. Fauci leads by over 96,000 votes in the state, but Giles did win Alamance County. Giles is a newcomer to politics and has a background in nursing. She is a Hillsborough native with traditionally conservative views. Fauci was in Orange County today campaigning. She was previously elected to the State House of Representatives in 2012 and has served in the State Senate since 2013. Fauci is a University of North Carolina graduate. She wants to increase public school funding and fix the teacher shortage through increased salaries and better training. We'll be back with the look at the Elon Election Day on campus right after this. Over 2 million more people turned out to vote early this election cycle than in the last midterm election in 2018. This year's increase in turnout might be related to issues on the ballot, and student voters want to use their votes to voice their opinions. Our Ellis Chandler reports.
An issue important to me is gun violence and imposing gun control laws.
Climate change. I'm scared for the future of our children and how our world's going to get worse.
I don't know, the ongoing issues with discrimination and inequalities and everything.
I'd like there to be a lot more investment in infrastructure.
It's Election Day here in North Carolina, and students at Elon University are concerned with a number of issues. Some chose to vote early at South Gym, which was established as an early voting location this year. Others waited until today to cast their ballots in person. Elon freshman Lucy Driscoll was a first-time voter in this year's election. She voted with her friend and fellow freshman Molly Ruiz. They say the process was stressful, but exciting.
I mean, North Carolina is definitely more of a swing state than Virginia is, which is where we're from. So I think it's really important to make the change in a state that needs it more.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I thought Maryland can kind of do without my vote. North Carolina needs my vote.
Yeah.
Driscoll says the only way to make change is to get involved.
And every decision that's getting made, in the United States economy affects us as we grow up in the economy, and we're coming out of COVID, and all of these things are just so important to, the jobs that we're going to get, and the people that we elect in power are going to be the people that help make that change, which I think is really important.
Ruiz says there's too much at stake for those not to cast their votes this year.
These are our rights and our lives that are going to be affected. It's important to follow that and understand what's going on and help make change as well.
Ellis Chandler, Elon Local News.
An Elon University exit poll says most North Carolina voters were more motivated to head to the polls during this year's election, with many carrying negative feelings about the economy and how various economic factors have impacted their lives. More than half, 53%, give the national economy a D or an F, with 75% saying the nation's economy has gotten worse since 2020. Abortion is also a key issue for voters during this year's midterm. 48% of Democratic voters and 41% of unaffiliated voters say they would be extremely dissatisfied if abortion was banned in North Carolina, while 13% of Republican voters hold that view. 31% of Republican voters said they would be extremely satisfied with such a ban. The differences in these percentages were higher than when voters were polled about leaving abortion restrictions up to states. Among Democrats, 45% say they are very confident that the election process will be fair, compared to 14% of Republicans. Nearly 1 in 4 Republicans, 23%, say they are not at all confident. Half of Democrats say they are very confident that votes will be counted properly, compared to 16% of Republicans. Unaffiliated voters are squarely in between those registered with either party.
This election is also the first time some Elon students are able to exercise their right to vote. Elon freshman Noah Feiner is registered to vote in Florida. Feiner voted by mail this year and says the process was annoying, even though he felt prepared. However, Feiner says that voting is one of the most important things that you can do as an American.
I was more excited. It's one of the big things when you turn 18 is you get the right to vote. So this was my first opportunity too, so I just took it when I could.
And as some students are seeing the results of races in their home states like Florida, I'm here with live updates on some battleground gubernatorial races. Let's take a look specifically at Florida, where he is from, Georgia. Stacey Abrams is trailing behind Brian Kemp with 45.2% of the vote, and Brian Kemp has 54.1% of the vote. Now taking a look at some other states as well. Florida here, Charlie Crist trailing behind with 39.8% of the vote. That means Ron DeSantis is the projected winner with 59.5% of the vote. Now moving on to Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro has 54.7% of the vote compared to Doug Mastriano with 43.5% of the vote. So it is a little bit too early to call, but he is ahead right now. And taking a look at New York with Kathy Hochul with 56.3% of the vote and Lee Zeldin with 43.7% of the vote.
And as we head to commercial, our newsroom is hard at work with projections for these races and more. We'll be right back. For some Elon students, casting a ballot looks different this year. Elon Jr. Carolina DePisa is studying abroad in Copenhagen. She's a political science major who voted online in her home state of Massachusetts. She says voting is a privilege while abroad.
I get so annoyed when people say that they're like not political and they don't care about politics, but it's like, to not care about politics is a privilege because you don't care because your rights aren't the ones that are at stake. So like, yeah, I get frustrated. Like I said, though, it's hard for me to understand why people don't care. Because it's just something that like means so much to me.
And is also studying abroad, but in London. She mailed her ballot to her home state of Florida, but she says some people didn't take the steps to do the same.
I think it's just tough at our age. Like I feel like you're either into it or you're not. A lot of times people have their opinions, but maybe don't carry through with the actions to see the outcomes of those opinions. Which I wish we had more engagement. That's something that makes me upset that people don't vote as much as they could or should.
For all you need to know about voting, check our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and click on our voter guide under the Politics tab.
Republicans currently have the majority in the House, with many races still left to be called as polls close on the West Coast. Republicans have a slimmer majority in the Senate, needing 50 to gain control. We'll be right back after this. And we are back here with an update on some Senate key races. Here, taking a look at this map, Georgia is neck and neck. The Democratic candidate Warnock is at 48.7% of the votes, whereas Walker has 49.3% of the votes. Again, it's a very tight race, too close to call at this time. Let's take a look at another state here. Taking a look at Wisconsin. Ronald Harold Johnson has 50.9% of the vote. He's the Republican candidate, and Mandela Barnes is trailing behind him with just 49.1% of the vote. Another race that is too close to call at this time, but again, one that is neck and neck. Now taking a look at Pennsylvania, Oz, 48.2% of the vote, with Fetterman has 49.4% of the vote. Another tight race that we're following throughout the night.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Even though millions decided to vote today here in North Carolina, several people turned out at their local precincts early to cast their ballot. We took to the polls to hear what issues the voters are passionate about and why they decided to get out and vote.
Very important. Democracy is kind of on the line. Social Security, Medicare, health care, all that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have to know who you're voting for. Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible. Civics in this country is terrible now. People have to know who they're voting for, and they don't. They just vote for their tribe.
It is our duty, and it is our privilege. And if we want people elected who will represent the values that we have, then we should make the effort to come and vote.
While polls are closed now, results are coming in as we speak. There is a polling location in the town of Elon for the first time ever, located near Student Health Services on the south side of campus. South Gym was added as a polling place by the Alamance County Board of Elections in July. Our Margaret Faust talked to voters about what this new location meant to them.
Town of Elon resident Joan Kimbrough has lived in Alamance County her whole life. Plus, her daughter works for Elon, but she hasn't been over to South Campus before, until now.
There was no reason not to come and vote early when all you had to do was come right up the street and vote.
Voters like LaParis Phillips says parking was easy and the line was short, making it convenient.
Voting is something that I cherish. I think it's very important. However, time is often limited. I have a 9-year-old. She has soccer practice. So thinking about the logistics of getting voting in after having a very busy day and then a busier afternoon, location matters.
As of 2020, the most recent data, the voting rate of registered students at Elon was 82%. Kimbrough encourages young people to continue to vote.
If you care about your country and you care about the things that are going on, you've got to stand up for what you think is right. And you've got to vote people in that are in line with how you feel things should be run.
Phillips said this was the fastest voting experience she's ever had. She plans to vote here from now on.
Election projections for the races we followed tonight and more are on our website, elonnewsnetwork.com now. Those include the Alamance-Burlington Board of Education, the North Carolina Court of Appeals, the Alamance County Board of Commissioners, the Alamance Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisors, and more. Stay tuned with us throughout the night for updates on updates on our website. Thank you again for joining us tonight.